In this episode of House Talk, we look at housing affordability for first home buyers through two very different schemes, each with a passionate advocate. In 2002, houses that cost 3 times the average salary now cost nearly 7 times that average salary. And in Auckland, that differential is greater. It's now over 10 times, making it increasingly hard for younger people to get onto the property ladder.
I'm hearing a whole group of younger people saying, get me into the ladder, get me into my own place. I want my security, I want my home, I want it at a fair price. I don't need the home of my parents. I don't want the McMansion anymore.
Crux was a commercial property developer who 7 years ago became the CEO of a Housing New Zealand subsidiary, tasked with building homes on around 1,000 hectares of state-owned Auckland land. 20% of these houses, under a scheme called Access, are smaller than normal, use closer density, and are being sold for between $450,000 and $650,000. But for Aiken, it goes beyond cost saving.
We're a young, vibrant Pacific nation who have just second skinning our biggest cities from being the quarter-acre pavlova paradises with the lawnmowers going on a Saturday, Sunday morning. That world doesn't turn for many, many New Zealanders as it once did. So the urban Kiwi is a different character than the nuclear family, which was kind of a lot of the Kiwi ethos is based on.
Aiken is appealing to the new breed of urban Kiwi, but Hobsonville's Access solution is a ballot situation where people need to be a first home buyer with maximum income thresholds, and they need to agree to live in this house for a minimum of 2 years. Aiken thinks this model suits the lifestyle of many first home buyers.
The largest growth area globally now for housing is a single person household. So aloneness, not loneliness, but aloneness, and a digitally connected world as opposed to a physically connected world, and living virtually through our digital interfaces, is replacing the lawn mowing and the backyard kind of over the fence stuff. So you could value judge that and say, oh, that's nostalgia and that's a loss of things. If you're a young person, it's not a loss of anything.
For these younger buyers, the cheapest house can be bought for under $550,000, a price level achieved through the density of the overall development and individual house sizes ranging from 40 to 90 square metres. An alternative approach has been operating out of the Queenstown Lakes District for over 10 years, where people get more traditional sized houses which are affordable because they don't pay for the land.
So we were set up to help local people who live here, are committed to the district, and we want to attract and retain those people.
The most recent version of this house funding model is the Queenstown Lakes Community Housing Trust's Secure Home program. The key to the idea depends on some serious muscle from their partners, the local council. It's mandated the transfer of up to 10% of each new subdivision's land to the trust. So essentially, developers have to contribute to affordable housing, so far to the tune of around $17 million in cash and land.
So what we've done is we've moved to this new leasehold model where we've taken out the land costs of it. So the household buys in at the cost it costs us to build it. So you're talking about around $350,000.
The purchaser pays an ongoing small ground rent of 1.5% of the land value, which means the house can be bought for between a third and a half of the average house price in Queenstown, although that's still 5 times the average salary.
It's a 100-year lease. It only ever goes up with inflation. It doesn't track back to the market. It's never reviewed to market for that household. So, and then when they want to sell, they sell back to us and we on-sell to the next household at another low price.
Julie has 600 households on the waiting list. So far, they've completed 170 houses under different trust programs. There are 56 under construction, and they hope to have built 1,000 homes in 10 years. So it's a good idea, but there's still a long way to go.
It's amazing what Julie and the Queenstown Lakes Community Housing Trust have achieved here. This model can absolutely work throughout New Zealand, but we've got to make sure that we've got that same certainty of policy framework enabled in every place. It takes a bit of central government enablement, which does not yet exist, together with willing local authorities and a strong not-for-profit community housing provider. Hobsonville has achieved some very nice urban design outcomes. It certainly has been completed according to a master plan. Those are good things. But Hobsonville has not delivered any genuinely affordable housing. The relative affordable housing, it's only relative to Auckland market prices. It's not relative to people's earned incomes.
I think Julie and the Housing Trust have taken some great steps to get people housed in a sick system that doesn't work. I don't see decoupling land from houses as a reasonable way forward in the future. I see that as a band-aid and a clever way of putting people into houses now. But actually what you're doing is driving further inequality, because those people can never get onto the ladder. Why should it be a ladder? The metaphor's horrible, but that's what we use at the moment. The ladder of property, which will guarantee your income into your retirement and your future, and possibly with the lack of a capital gains tax, the future of your children and their children.
I think Hobsonville works for a type of New Zealander and a type of new New Zealander. First of all, those who have come from other countries where medium density is a norm, and even higher density is a norm. And it also works for middle class Pākehā people who don't plan on having more than, 2 children maybe, and who don't want the lawn and the maintenance and do want disposable income and time on their hands. So it works for a very discrete section of our population. Certainly not Māori. I understand there's 2 Māori families living in all of Hobsonville out of 3,000.
Yeah, look, Hobsonville was a really interesting development, and I think it has delivered some affordable options. I think one of the things that we've seen over the last 2.5 years, we've seen some really interesting communities develop. I think that there is even more room to innovate. I am very keen that we do see mixed communities, that we see a mix of market, we see a mix of Kiwi build, we see a mix of public or social housing and affordable housing, all these things together, so that we are creating communities, because this isn't just about building houses. These are people's homes. These are where people live, and we are creating communities every time that we build.
Associated with the theme of affordability, in other episodes of House Talk, we also look at housing stress, getting involved in your own build, and the effects of COVID-19.
This program was made possible by the RNZ NZ On Air Innovation Fund.